All right, we'll start recording so that folks that couldn't join us, they have the opportunity to revisit this session, and you as well. So why is goal setting important for our mental health? Does anybody care to share their thoughts before we hop in? You can type it in the chat, or you can feel free to unmute yourself and share. Why is goal setting important for your mental health? Gives you something to strive for. Yeah,
Give
absolutely.
you a mission in life.
Gives you mission in life, purpose. Exactly. So setting goals is really giving you direction, purpose, something to look forward to. Yes, that's exactly right. And it keeps you focused on what matters most to you, creates a sense of accomplishment because we love to be praised. We love to be recognized in whatever way, shape, or form that is. But achieving helps us to feel good, and it actually motivates us to want to achieve more. Research has shown that having clear goals can help reduce stress and improve emotional well-being because it also shifts our mindset. I'm just letting people into the room at the same time. Improves our emotional well-being and shifts our mindset from being reactive to proactive. So think about achieving even like a small goal. And this is personal to me, completing a task that you have been avoiding. My goodness, the laundry does pile up for me. Sometimes I walk past it like it's not there. I will ignore it, but it's still, it's something that I need to finish. And once I sit down and actually just do it, when I realized it didn't take as long as I thought it would, because sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't have time. I don't have time. And as I don't have time, it starts to, the pile starts to accumulate. So accomplishing something, no matter how small, can help boost your confidence and contribute to your overall happiness. And happy space, I get to put the clothes away. I don't have to look at them and be concerned. Ooh. All right. So what makes a goal effective? So what we're talking about in goal setting is making sure that it is realistic and meaningful. And you want to make sure that your goals are aligned to your personal values and priorities. So this means focusing on what truly matters to you. Sometimes we set goals to impress others, and what usually happens with that is that we get sick of that. We're like, okay, that's not motivating me anymore. That's not really what I want to do. So if it doesn't feel authentic to you, if it's not aligned with your values, you're less likely to keep up with it. So when you are creating these personal goals, ask yourself, why is this goal important to me? Why do I care about this? And really getting aligned with what you care about as a person. What are your values? And for some people, that could be a first place to start. What are my values? What are my priorities? Let me sit down and just list those before I can also align myself and my goals with those. Secondly, you want to make sure that your goals are realistic and achievable. And when we set overly ambitious goals, it can make us frustrated. It can lead to burnout and lack of motivation. And that really defeats the purpose of what we were trying to do with goals in the first place. Another thing we want to make sure is that our goals are flexible. Sometimes we can be very rigid, like I have to do this thing by this time, and if I don't do that, then I failed. And that can lead to, again, loss of motivation. We're easily to kind of find all kinds of excuses to not do whatever the thing is. And so again, that defeats the purpose of even creating the goal. So something we might say to ourselves is, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to exercise for an hour every day. But something that's a little bit more flexible and realistic is I'm going to exercise 3 times a week for 20 minutes. And that way you're starting kind of small and you're setting yourself up for success. For some people, 20 minutes is a far reach. So maybe we need to scale it back to 10, maybe 5, maybe 2 times a week, right? So that's where we get flexible with our goals. So now that we understand the characteristics of those effective goals, so making sure they're aligned to our personal values, do we have a why for those goals? Are they realistic? Are they achievable? And then are we allowing room for flexibility? So those are the characteristics of effective goals. We're going to look at how we can set those goals for ourselves. And one popular framework is the SMART method. So making sure that things are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And I know somebody somewhere just roll their eyes like, oh, I'm sick of this. But it has been a proven framework that works. And sometimes it can be hard to sit and try to think of all the things, right? You're like, oh, making the goal is making me tired. So even breaking those things down, maybe you don't have a goal in one setting. Maybe you think about something specific, then you figure out how to make it measurable. Then you can, okay, how can I achieve this goal? How do I make it relevant for me? And how do I give myself a time limit? So for example, instead of saying, I want to reduce stress, which of course we want to reduce stress, it's a great thing. What is the action that you're going to do? So be specific. I will start meditating for 5 minutes in the morning, or 1 minute, or 10 minutes, whatever your increment would be. Make sure it's achievable. So starting small is always great, and then building your momentum, because you gotta, if it's something that you're not used to doing, you have to start building your muscle, right? And as you start to do it regularly, you start to feel better, you feel accomplishment, and you can add more to it. Anybody who's done weightlifting, you don't start off with squatting 400 pounds, right? You'll fall out, you'll be like, I can't do it. Squats are not for me. But if you start with just your body, you learn how to squat properly. What does a squat feel like? Then you can add the bar, then you can add weights, right? So things like that, making sure they're achievable. Are these goals relevant? Again, alignment with your values and your own mental health goals, and then giving yourself a time limit. Usually 3 weeks, start there. A month, give yourself time to look at the goal, to assess yourself. Sometimes you're like, oh, I can't do it, and we're just done with it. But again, remember to keep those goals flexible, to give ourselves time to see what changes we can make. Because if you just give up, then we're not assessing, we're just moving into not doing it. Again, the whole counterproductive point of the goal. Another tip is to break big goals into smaller steps. So like I mentioned, increments is great. So starting small. And if you want to run a marathon, that's great. If you're starting from the couch, marathon running, start small, jogging for 10 minutes, 3 times a week, get into the practice of that running. Using any visuals or affirmations for yourself. So imagine yourself achieving the goal and what that feels like. I want to feel this, right? And so then when you accomplish that, you start to, again, feel better, incorporate those feelings into achieving that goal. And lastly, track your progress and celebrate your wins. Sometimes we take things for granted that we're able to do. Oh, I was only able to work out for 10 minutes. Instead of saying, I was only able to work out for 10 minutes and feeling like a failure, you turn that thinking around and say, hey, I gave myself 10 minutes this morning to strengthen my body, and that was great. That was better than doing no minutes, right? So kind of celebrating yourself, and then keeping track of your growth. When are the best times for me to do this? When does it feel the best to work on this goal or whatever else? So this is just a quick example of how we could change a goal to a SMART goal. I will journal 3 times a week for 10 minutes. Nothing wrong with that. It is specific. We can measure how many times we're journaling. It is achievable, right? Short increments of time. But if we want to add some relevance and make it time bound, it could look like this. I will journal for 10 minutes at least 3 times a week, and giving yourself specific days of the week for the next 3 weeks to improve my self-reflection and mindfulness. I will track my progress in my calendar, and evaluate my consistency at the end of the month. So something that's easy for you to do. Track it, or you can use your journal, like, to count how many entries that you have, and then evaluate yourself at the end of the month. Did you do 5 journal entries? Was 5 minutes a better time for you? Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, did those days work for you? Again, so we want to make sure that these goals are personal to us, they're aligned with what we want to achieve, and they're feasible for us to do and allow us that flexibility. Research has also shown these benefits of achieving goals. So it can have a profound impact on your mental health by reducing stress and giving you a sense of control and direction. We talked about that earlier. So instead of feeling overwhelmed, focus on your actionable steps. Sometimes we're like, there's so many things to do. Reset your mind to say, what can I do in this moment? What can I do in the next 5 seconds, 5 minutes, whatever else, to help us not feel so overwhelmed. Working towards goals increases our motivation, and provides a sense of purpose for us. So we wake up knowing what we're working towards. And that can also motivate us to get out of the bed, right? On those days when snooze feels the best to do, we're like, I don't know about that. But, oh, I'm working towards healthier mental health practices. I am working on modeling healthy mental health practices for my kiddos or for my nieces and nephews or whomever else, and let that start to motivate you to get those things accomplished. They can also build emotional resilience, just reminding yourself that you're capable of overcoming challenges. And finally, it helps us to celebrate our successes, and that reinforces that positive mindset, and that creates a cycle of success for us. And so what's important for us to remember is that progress, not perfection, is what matters for us. So sometimes we want to see everything done perfectly well, and then if we didn't do it well perfectly, we don't want to celebrate it. But the progress is, hey, I used to roll over and sleep an extra 30 minutes. Now I am getting up and meditating and walking for the first 20 minutes of my day, and it's improved my attitude. So anytime you can celebrate yourself, please do that. So setting goals is great, but how do we sustain our goal setting journey? How do we make sure we're staying on track? And some of those tips are to be patient and be kind to yourself. If you stumble, if you miss a day, or, if any of those, life happens, right? And so we want to make sure that we are talking kindly to ourselves, that positive self-talk. If we had a friend who was on a journey or trying to do something different and they were like, oh, I missed today and I'm no good, what would you say to that friend? You'd actually say, hey, friend, you're doing something new. It's okay to miss a day. Just start back tomorrow. Or can you do it later today? Can you do 5 minutes of it? Like, right? We're finding ways to say that you can still reach that goal. It's not over. You don't have to give up. If you need accountability buddies or support groups, this is also great to helping you achieve your goal. And if it's a accountability partner, let them know how you want to be supported, what works for you to be held accountable. Is it a text message? Hey, took my walk today. Hey, drank my 30 ounces of water, right? Like, what are those ways that you would want to be held accountable? Because it looks different for all of us. And so if you're asking someone to hold you accountable, also discuss the ways that work best for you to be held accountable. We talked a lot about flexibility. So reassess and adjust your goals as you need to. Are they still realistic? Are they relevant? Are they aligned to what you want to do? Change them if you need to. And always, always, always celebrate your wins, no matter how small. That helps you to stay motivated and focused. The journey is just as important as the destination. So enjoy the process. You set this goal for a reason. It means something to you. So you want to make sure that you're enjoying part of that destination, because you may be the coach and the cheerleader for someone else. Like, hey, I did it. Here's what worked for me. And you'll be able to share those tips as well. So we're wrapping up just a little bit. We got about 5 more slides. Let's recap what we've talked about today. The first thing is that we've talked about how goals can enhance your mental health by reducing stress and increasing your motivation. So giving you that clarity and purpose. We explored the importance of setting realistic and meaningful goals for your mental health. We also talked about techniques like SMART goals and how they can help you achieve those aspirations. And the last slide, we just talked about how to maintain or sustain your goal setting journey. So I would like to encourage each of you to take a small action step by writing down, or you can even share it in the chat if you would like to, one goal you want to work on and commit to one small action. So you can share what your one small action would be. Yeah, or the one goal that you're working towards. You don't have to. You can also unmute yourself and share.
I wouldn't mind sharing.
Okay.
I really dig whenever you were saying about, okay, I'm going to run 1 hour for a day, right? And I was like, okay, that seems okay. But I felt kind of hesitation, right? Whenever I heard you say it. And then you followed up with, well, no, we'll do it 3 times a week for 20 minutes. And I literally smiled ear to ear. And I was like, I can definitely do that. So I'm going to take that one from you.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with that one.
Yes, great. Awesome. And see, you could tell it wasn't aligned with you. You're like, ooh, an hour. But also, you might be surprised at what your body can do. You're like, okay, I'm just going to do it for this long. And you're like, oh, actually, I'm able to keep up a little bit longer. And every day is different, right? We have different amounts of energy for different days. So, again, the goal is to be gentle with yourself. That's where that flexibility and that self-compassion comes in. So thank you for sharing that.
Of course. Thank you.
Anyone else? Give us a few minutes. Well, if not, hopefully you've written it down and you're considering it for later. Today, maybe that's your action step is I'm going to set 5 minutes to call myself to action today. No worries. I do want to open the floor for any questions or comments. You can talk about the session, what you liked, what you'd like to see. You can share one new thing you've learned or an action step that you plan to take for the day. Again, typing in the chat or unmuting yourself to share if you're able to. No typing in the chat. Some people are probably driving. Yes, give yourself grace. It's important, right? We don't need to be hard on ourselves all the time. And I know sometimes that's what we were taught works. Like, if I'm not hard on myself, then I'm not going to do it. But if you're mean to yourself, you're not going to want to do it either. Yes, I love the flexibility of Dr. Dara, increasing your movement, walking, swimming, whatever that looks like. Write down goals and take action in increments. Very good. Somebody unmuted themselves. Please share. Go back. I hope I didn't. I want to not.
No, you're okay. I was actually just going to add on that as I was doing my SMART goals, like in the past, what I have seen within myself that it's improved also my mental health. And it's become very competitive within myself, but in a good competitive. Like, I
Mhm.
wonder if I can do 10 push-ups. Could I do 15?
Mhm.
And I was like, can I? I'm getting
You're
older.
challenging yourself. Yeah, that's good.
Yes. Yes, and as I'm getting older, I'm even challenged. Like it's kind of like a fun game. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's actually like, okay, I'm getting older, but I can still do 30 push-ups or like da da da
Mhm.
da. So yes, just
That's
wanted to add on to
exactly. From one competitive person to another, I completely understand.
that.
I need to turn things into games. I need to, right, I got to make it fun for me because that's what works. One of my values is fun.
Yes, exactly.
So I've got to make it fun for me. Exactly. Okay. I do want to share a few things from mhahouston.org/events. If you visit our website, you'll be able to see we have some upcoming events next Wednesday. I'll be here again with this an hour-long session um, about learning about mental health, give or take an hour. It's virtual and it's free. And then there's another session called Prioritizing You, a self-care workshop. And I do talk about SMART goal setting in that session and creating a specifically a self-care goal for yourself, similar to what we did today. But we talk about stress, burnout, what it does to our body. So please feel free to sign up for those events and also share within your network. Again, virtual and free. So we'd love to have you back. Also on our website at mhahouston.org, you can see we have mental health resources. We have our navigation tools, our behavioral health tools. So please feel free to access those because even if it's not for you, you never know who in your life may need to be connected to some of these resources that are in the greater Houston area. Some of them are for elderly behavioral health, some basic needs, children, etc. So please feel free to visit our website for that. Also on our website, we have our mental health screening tool. You can go to that QR code right now with your phone. It will pull up, welcome to your mental health test. There'll be a drop down menu and it explains you're taking this test because blah, 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 blah. So whichever one applies to you, it is not going to give you a diagnosis. That's not what it's for. It's really just to give you more information and allow you to self-assess. So if you've been feeling kind of crummy or you're like, I've been avoiding people for the last 2 to 3 weeks, I just want to check in on myself, please utilize that. You can take that information to your primary care physician, your therapist, or etc. And just so you know, hey, this is what I've been experiencing for the last couple of weeks. So again, that tool is free. Um, what's the question you want to ask? Quick clinical question. Dr. Dara,
Oh,
you want to ask?
yeah, I know this is more personal, but the seminar, but my clinical setting is we're kind of moving towards using SMART goals in the medical record,
Mhm.
and really kind of putting it in the treatment plan. And I'm like, I've been trying that out with patients, and I keep kind of getting like, oh, I wanted to cancel my appointment because I didn't do my homework, my SMART goal. And I just didn't know if you had any tips of, how to navigate that clinically. I mean, you gave some really nice ones of be flexible, be patient with yourself, but I didn't know if you had any tips of also using it with patients.
I would ask that, and um, I'm not a clinician, but I would ask that person, well, what part of the goal setting was hard for you to complete? And can we talk through that? It may be, I don't want to set this goal because I'm already afraid that I'm not going to reach it. So try to get to maybe the what's holding them back portion. And maybe once we get past that stumbling block, then we can start to work through maybe a small set at a time. Does that work for you or
Yeah,
sound like it would be a good tip? Okay.
yeah, thank you.
Mhm. Good question. All right, as we close out, I just want to say thank you so much for joining today. You've been a great group. You've given some great insight. Just appreciate you for showing up and showing up for yourself. So thank yourself for taking this past 30 minutes to enhance your goal setting, and you can feel free to share with folks or let them know to come next week. And I would like to close out with an affirmation. So we're going to affirm to ourselves. You can write it down, you can take a picture of it, and I'll just say it out loud. I am capable, resilient, and committed to my growth. Every small step I take brings me closer to my goals. Progress, not perfection, is my path to success. All right, we are affirmed in that. Please feel free to reach out to me. My email address is at the bottom, nmilton@mhahouston.org. If you're interested in connecting with me or our organization because you enjoyed yourself, you would like another session like this, yeah, I'm here. We are here as an organization, and we love to connect with you. Yes, I can put the email address back up. Let's see. Am I sharing my screen? No. Classic. 2 seconds. I can actually just type it into the chat. There we go. Yay, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed. And I just put my email address into the chat. All right, so hopefully I'll be seeing you all back next week. If you can't make it, please feel free to send a friend. All right, there's my email address. Great working with you all, and hopefully see you next week. Have a good rest of your afternoon.